Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Or at least that's the perception. That's the perception. Martin Bakoli has gone from on screen. Alright, that's him against Jared Anderson. I've showed that already in the past, but looking quite good against Jared Anderson, looking very formidable against the young, hungry, very fast fighter in Jared Anderson in his early to mid 20s. He has gone from that to, let me read you the headline of this Ring magazine, big up to the Ring magazine every single time. Article, promoter Frank Warren on Moses Itauma versus Martin Bakoli. I'd do that fight in a heartbeat. Oh, the perception has changed. Frank Warren would happily match his heavyweight prodigy Moses Itauma with Martin Bakoli after seeing the Congolese fighter labour to a draw with F.A. Ajagba last Saturday. In February, Bakoli, 21-2-1, 16 knockouts, was on holiday in Congo when he received an offer to fly to Saudi Arabia, not even on a chartered flight. It's like they're short of money, they can obviously get a chartered flight. And replace Daniel Dubois after the IBF heavyweight champion was ruled out due to an illness. Bakoli received respect and a sizable payday for accepting the last minute bout, but was stopped after being floored in the second round. Yes, we all know about this debacle. Given the chance to impress on the big stage, Bakoli weighed in for his next fight at 299 for a fight with Ajagba and produced a disappointing performance. Bakoli was always sceptical as to whether Bakoli deserved the reputation of the boogeyman of the division, and after witnessing his short notice loss to Parker and the draw against Ajagba, he is extremely confident that 20-year-old Itauma and another of his highly ranked heavyweight contenders, Lawrence Okoli, have the beating of the alleged 33-year-old. In fact, he raised the idea to Bakoli's promoter Ben Shalom last Saturday. 1,000,000%, Warren told the Ring magazine when asked the possibility of Itauma facing Bakoli. If you went and picked up the phone right now and asked George, his son, and Shalom who was there, I'd say that to Shalom. I said I'd do that fight in a heartbeat. Also, Lawrence, if you got caught by him, you should be arrested for loitering. So that's what Frank Warren has to say. Now, that really is a damning. That shows kind of the perception of what Bakoli is now in comparison to what he was a year ago, because myself and several others, and it wasn't just me, you see people like Motive Media do, and they featured me in it. Thank you very much for that, I appreciate that. But they did several documentary style videos on Martin Bakoli, and I myself thought he had the beaten, and I still do, quite frankly, think he is the beaten of a lot of the top contenders in the heavyweight division. But the problem is with Martin Bakoli, is he hungry? And to be honest with you, him against Moses Itauma, would he be hungry for that fight? Probably not, no. I think with Bakoli, he'd only be hungry for the likes of Anthony Joshua, for the likes of Alexander Usyk, Tyson Fury, etc. I think that if you put him in there, Daniel Dubois, and put him in there with someone like a Moses Itauma, chances are he'd probably come in out of shape again. And he's not the fastest heavyweight, he's not the hardest to find him, he's not the hardest to hit. I think Itauma would probably light him up, to be honest with you, if you're talking about a Martin Bakoli coming into a fight not with all eyes on the prize, so to speak. There's a good chance, he probably would get lit up by Moses Itauma. But what I would like to say to Frank about Moses Itauma, now he's mentioning Okoli, I think that that's a more realistic fight, to be honest with you, because again, both guys are up there in the 30s, both guys, we can kind of look at that as a bit of a winner stays on. He's speaking about Okoli as, a kind of newbie in the heavyweight division, which he absolutely is, but he's no spring chicken in terms of boxing years. He's been around a long time. Whereas Moses Itauma, you see, this is the one thing I've said about him, and I'll reiterate it, I'll stand by it. You've got a fighter now in Itauma who originally you were trying to break Mike Tyson's record. It's not going to happen, all right? It's May now, unless something bizarre happens, which is not going to happen, but you never know, miracles do happen, unlikely, it's not going to happen, right? Therefore, there's no need to rush him. So you have a 20-year-old boy, why are you gonna, he doesn't look 20, but you have a 20-year-old boy, why would you even consider putting him in there against Martin Bakoli, who on his day is a very formidable fighter? Why wouldn't you just go? He's fighting a guy the end of the month, and I think that's fine, career progression. Why wouldn't you target the Fraser Clarks of the world, the Johnny Fisher, Dave Allen winner? Okay, maybe not that. Maybe that is a step down for Itauma. I think he's a level above them. But why aren't you looking at the Fraser Clarks, the David Adelaide of the world? I see no reason why you can't, bring him down to domestic level. I think it'd be fine to do that with Moses Itauma, quite frankly. I think it's highly likely that in 2 years he can be, probably less than that, maybe 18 months, he could be challenging for a world title. And we don't know how the heavyweight landscape is going to look in the next 18 months. Alexander Usyk is on his way out. Joshua Fury, don't know. Dubois, you know what I mean? Like, the winner of Dubois Usyk 2 will be undisputed, but they won't have all those belts. They'll have mandatories, left, right, and centre. So I think for Moses Itauma, matchmaking is smart. It needs to be smart. And I don't know if Bakole is necessarily smart matchmaking at this stage in his respective career. And Frank Warren is good like that. He knows he's great at matchmaking for the most part. So I would say that he's mentioning Itauma, but I reckon he's got his eye on a Coley versus Bakole as opposed to Itauma versus Martin Bakoli. In terms of Martin Bakoli, listen, I still think there is potential there. Certainly do. I've thought there's always something potential there for a long time with Bakole, or at least for a couple of years now. Anyway, he just needs to be in the right frame of mind and in the right shape, because at the end of the day, it's apparent. Like, I mean, you've had one fight where you didn't train for 6 months and you came in over 300 pounds. You had 2 months of training. Okay, maybe you didn't spar as much as you maybe should have because you obviously got knocked out, but fair enough. But that doesn't mean you can't go for a run, you can't go for a swim, you can't do something, you can't do some form of cardiovascular exercise, and you clearly didn't. I mean, that whole sweatsuit thing was clearly just for show. So I think with Bakole, the problem is, as I said, he's made a lot of money now over his last 2 fights. Is the hunger for boxing there, or is the hunger for fish and chips? I don't know what food he likes, but you know what I mean. Andy Ruiz, the hunger is there for pizza. It's the same with Bakole. So that's the situation there. Itauma for me is a prodigy, as they said in the Ring Magazine article there. He is a prodigy. He's tremendously talented. I think he's going to go very far. I think he's going to be one of the main guys of the heavyweight division for years upon years. I mean, he's only 20. You think about it, in 10 years' time, the heavyweight division will be very, very different. A lot of the guys now will have done their time. Like Dubois will definitely be most likely gone, I should say. I shouldn't say will, most likely be gone in 10 years. Parker will be gone. Most of these guys will be gone in 10 years. He'll be only 30 years old. I mean, Joe Joyce didn't turn pro until he was, 32, 33? It's just like, I can't emphasize enough how much time this kid has. There's no need to rush him. I understood you maybe wanted to go a little bit fast if you're trying to break Tyson's record. I get it. Now you can't. I mean, Herbie Hyde is the youngest British heavyweight champion of all time. He was 22, thereabouts. So you got 2 years still to break that record. I mean, there's no point in rushing. So I wouldn't rush him. I wouldn't. I think he's fine matchmaking. Let him go and clean up the domestic scene. He'd go through Fraser Clark and David Adelaide, no problem. He really would. So I would say let him clean up there. And Jamie TKV as well, no disrespect to him. I think he'd clean up against those guys. So let him do that. And yeah, no need to rush him. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Subscribe as always if you haven't already. Peace.